record this meeting. Recording has started. Make sure it's recording. Perfect. Okay. Those are our meeting norms. Here's our agenda for our time together. Oh, Kinder. Can you tell I used the same PowerPoint from the Kinder one? We're going to cover main points of what it's going to be like when our first and second graders come back. We're going to cover what drop off and pickup will look like. There are a few adjustments from last year. Share with you the schedule for what cohort A and cohort B will look like. Go over some safety and health guidelines and end with information of how to get a hold of us. Myself, the assistant principal, Alyssa Farias, and our principal, Joni Hall, and our tech support, Susan Byers, if you need tech support, such as with the COVID family survey. Okay, on to the next slide. Main points. I think our principal, Joni Hall, is in the meeting now. And Joni, you there ready to share out the main points? She should be in. Joni, if not, I'm happy to do it. You're not muted, Joni, but I can't hear you in the meeting. I can only hear you. To be next door. There
it's asking me a good. There, can you hear me? Can you see me? It only took an hour. That's good. Technical difficulties. That's my middle name. All right. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Hi, Olivia. I see you back there. It's good to see your face. Okay, so here we go. I will take over and main points starting on Monday, February 8th. That is a week from this coming Monday. You've got a week and 2 days. Our first grade students will be coming back to school in cohorts. They will either attend on Monday and Tuesday in person or Thursday and Friday in person in groups of 15 or fewer students. Many of our kids haven't had a whole lot of school because we went home in March of last year. And so we're going to give them a little bit of time with just first graders and kindergartners who've been here for about a week so far. And we'll have been here a couple of weeks before first grade comes, before we bring our second graders. It's been really a nice slow roll in with kinders to get them used to being at school. And so I think it'll be really great to have just kinder and first and acclimate first back to school since it's been so long since they've been here in person. Then beginning on the 16th of February, we'll start having second graders in cohorts as well. A Monday, Tuesday cohort and a Thursday, Friday cohort with groups of 15 or less. So that's kind of how we're coming back. I know that your teachers have been explaining this to you. I know that there's been lots of communication from the district and from us. So you're probably sick of hearing from it, or hearing about it, but we just want to make sure that you understand that. All right, next slide. Okay, these are a couple of big ones. One is we have to have you make sure that your child's immunizations, and that means all immunizations that are required by the state, and or if your child has a health care plan for something like if they have severe asthma that requires an inhaler, that they have a specialized health care plan. Those have to be updated with our school nurse. And our first and second grade list is pretty long right now. Mrs. Belize, our nurse, has been reaching out both through phone calls, email, contacting families, and she continues to contact families. We will also have our teachers. We've given them a list, and they will be contacting you to let you know if your child is on one of those lists that needs to either have an updated immunization or an updated healthcare plan on file. If your child does not have that, they will be excluded from school. They won't be able to come back to in-person learning. So we do have quite a few on the list. We're hoping to get it honed down in the next week to 0, so everybody can be back with us on time. Your students will need to bring a backpack. They can bring lunch to school. You can bring a lunch from home if you want to, or you can have school lunch, and a water bottle would be great. They have to have a mask. We're asking that you provide a mask. Please put your child's name on the mask somewhere. Their mask will have to be worn at all times in school unless they are physically eating or drinking. And outside, if they are physically distanced. We've watched our kindergartners, and a lot of our kindergartners are wearing their masks outside too. It's kind of like a new world. Kids are used to it. And so even outside, if they're not opposed and they're playing closer than 6 feet within the zone that we have set up for each classroom's cohort, that having a mask on will be a good idea. We are going to provide each student with a strap or a lanyard. It has snaps on it. And so that way they can take it down and it won't have to be sitting around somewhere. It's just like a necklace and then put it back on. I am so impressed, I will just let you know, with our kindergartners' ability to keep their mask on and to really practice that mask wearing. I was worried about that a little bit of how are we going to keep 5-year-olds with the mask on all day. It seems like I have more trouble than they do. So I think that kids are flexible and resilient and adaptable, and they've figured out that this is just the way it is now. Our students and our staff will all have to remain 6 feet apart. We've got the school all taped up with with tape lines all over the floor to help kids keep their toes on the line and stay 6 feet apart. The classrooms have been set up so that desks and circle time dots are 6 feet apart, and our teachers have just done a great job in setting up a really safe environment for your kids, and we'll be practicing that a lot in the first few days of how do we get from place to place walking safely, how do we walk in the classroom safely, how do we stay apart from each other but still conduct school. Again, it's been nice to have the kinders so back to practice that a little bit and show us that this is totally doable. And I know our first graders are going to be all on top of it. Our building is still closed to the public at this time. And so if you do need some support, you can give us a phone call at 253-571-7400. That will go to our main office. And if somebody doesn't answer, they will get back to you right away. If you are needing to come in, we're going to first try to solve problems over the phone to limit the number of people in the building for safety's sake. If you absolutely need to be in the building, we'll make you an appointment, and it will be after 10 o'clock because that 9:45 to 10 is our high staff dealing with kids and getting kids into the building and into their learning classroom on time. So we've got all like decks on hand or hands on deck for that. But that's your access if you do need to make an in-person appointment. And this is a huge one. We need your help. And I've been asking you for this for like months, I know, and you're sick of probably hearing it. But if you have not yet, you need to register for the family app. Ms. Farias has helped with that because she got you guys all in there and did the first piece, which was sending an invite to the email that was registered in ESP for your family. And then you should have, if you haven't done this yet, you should have an email waiting in there that invites you to now go in and register to get the family app, which will provide you access to do the health survey every day that you have to do before your child can enter the building. It's 5 questions. Once you get the registration part done, that's pretty easy. You can do that all from a mobile device, a phone, a tablet. You can do it from your computer at home. But we do need to have that done every single day for your student before they can be allowed in the building. If it's not, they'll be walked around and we'll have an isolation place where then we have to make phone calls and get you to get on the phone, and it really keeps them away from the learning environment. So if you are having any kind of trouble getting the registration done, you can give our library teacher, Miss Byers, who is acting as tech support right now, a phone call at 253-571-7507. Or you can go ahead and call that 7400 number and we can put you through to her. And she's awesome at walking you through that. But getting that done and practicing with it, the sooner the better. It just makes it so much quicker to get your child in the building, into their classroom and learning, which is what we want. Our learning time and our school time will go from 9:45 is our start time and 3:20 is our end time. So mark that on your calendars or on your schedule. Those are our times for learning in-person learning. Is there anything in the chat at this point, Alyssa, that we might need to address?
I'm answering all of them, and I was just conversing with Autumn on the best time to come in and drop off immunizations. Usually someone's here from 9 to 3, Sometimes our office staff works early, and so I put in the office number to call if they want to schedule a better time to come. Again, that means someone would just come to the door, get your immunizations, make a copy, and bring it back. We're trying to limit people in the office right now. Yeah, so I got all the questions answered. So let's talk about the COVID-19 health survey. I emailed every single first and second grade family that is not yet registered. And for the small handful that said they would register themselves, I went ahead and did it for you. All I did was copy and paste your primary email into the survey. And then you need to go to your email address and accept the invitation. Highly recommend you do this from home on a laptop. It's working better that way than it is a cell phone, especially if you have Gmail. And so what I want to do is, mind you, this PowerPoint will be shared out with you guys so you can access these different how-to video links right in the PowerPoint that I'll paste in Schoology and Facebook. But what I want to point out is when you get this email right here, this is what you want to look for in the email that you have because I've registered you. It's going to be an email coming from Microsoft. And that catches people off guard because it's not a Tacoma email. And when you open up that email, it's a little funny because it says right here, click the Get Started button. No Get Started button. It took me a second to figure that one out. You want to instead accept invitation. And this will take you to a Microsoft sign-in page. Sign in with your email, put a password in, and then you're good to go. It's easy from there. It's just Tacoma Public Schools main website, family app. You sign in, do the survey, you're good to go. Highly recommend you do it from home before you come, because you can do it for your student before you leave your house. You do not have to do it once you get here in line. It'll be a lot faster and smoother for you and all of our families if you do it before you come. All we do then is you're going to show a sign. We're going to look at the kids. We'll provide the sign for you, but it's just the student's last name. We look at the last name, we look it up, we see a green check mark, kid gets out of the car, we go inside the building. Or if you're walking the kid to school, you'll be in the line, quickly check, there's a check mark, kid goes inside. If the survey's not done yet, we have to wait and we have to have you do it, and it takes a little bit more time. Highly recommend register, do the survey before you come. You can even try the survey today if you want, just to make sure it works smoothly. And if not, we're here to help you so that first day and all the days run smoothly in the morning. This is one thing I want to point out. There's been a lot of terms used and we've had questions about it. So what the district has done is the district has built a family app. Currently, it is not an app. It is not something that if you have like an iPhone, you can go to the Apple Store and download. It is simply a browser on the Tacoma Public Schools website, and you go to it and you do the survey there. Family app is the houses the COVID survey. So go to the family app on the Tacoma Public Schools website. It's right on top, family app, sign in, and then you see this page right here to do the survey. So that's the difference. The COVID-19 health survey, sometimes called attestation, lives within the family app. All right. Let's talk about what drop-off and pickup is going to look like for when your kiddos come to join us. Students cannot be dropped off earlier than 9:45. Doors will remain locked to the building until 9:45. No staff will be outside, no adults, no nothing. So you cannot have your kids come earlier. We have no daycare, nothing currently in the building. So students will not be received until 9:45. You may, if you're dropping your kids off in a car, enter that upper parking lot around 9:30 to start lining up. Totally acceptable. We need you to stay in the car and an adult will come to you, ask for the last name, double check the survey was done, and then the kid can come out. Same for walkers. We'll have a line and we just have someone there to double check that the survey's been done. If you arrive late, go to the main entrance to the building, call the main office, and someone will come out to you to help you. Okay, if you arrive late and need to get your child into the building then. We have three, so drive-through, got to remain in your cars. I know previous years you've been able to park. No one's parking, no one's getting out. One-way traffic the whole entire time. We have cones out there. Kinder families have already been doing this. So the nice thing is you guys can also kind of follow the lead of our Kinder families. One-way traffic, no parking, no letting your child out. And for families who will walk their children, you'll see by the small playground in the upper parking lot a big blue sign that says walkers. And you'll just go right there to get in line. You cannot leave your child until we check that they've done the survey. We give them a little sticker and we have some helpers to get them to class. In the morning, we have three stations to get our kiddos here in the morning. Drive-through. We've talked about that a little bit. Upper parking lot, an adult, a staff member will be there to help you. Walkers, small playground, and the bus when the bussers come. That is our main sections. For those who are walking, we ask that once we've checked your child has their survey done and we've given them their sticker and they're headed into the building, that you do not congregate because we're wanting to really honor the social distancing and get the kiddos in the building, and then you guys are free to head to whatever you need to do. Playground is closed during drop off and pickup to really honor that social distancing. If a child does not have a survey done, they do not get to come in the building. So if we have students on buses, they arrive, we check at the door of the bus if they've done the survey. If they do not have the survey done, they have to go off to the side into a line and they have to go to the gym and they do not get to go to class or participate in any learning until we get a hold of a parent to get their survey done. Highly encourage you to ensure the surveys are done in the morning. Again, practice it today. Check your email for the registration link that should be sent to you and try out the survey today. That way you make sure you're ready to go when our first graders come back and then when our second graders come back. Afternoon pickup looks pretty much the same. Drive-through upper parking lot. We all have the kids in different sections to allow for social distancing. Staff members to help you. We have 3 different flags and we'll say something like, please pull up to the orange flag. And then we'll ask you for your student's name. Every student has been assigned a number. We're going to attach that tag to their backpack. And then the staff will locate your child for you. We just have the kiddos in 2 different sections, kindergarten in one section, first and second in another, to help with social distancing. And so you do not get out of your cars when you pick them up. We will help you. And then we'll just tell you which flag to pull up to get your child. Walkers, same location, small playground, big blue sign. Adults, head there and your child will be there for you to pick up. You'll see a tag similar to this attached to your child's backpack. This is our way of ensuring that we know they're headed to the right location each day. And for those doing drive-through, this is how we'll locate your child. You'll simply tell us the teacher's name and their number, and then you go to the teacher section and find that number and bring the kid to you. So you will see a tag like this attached to their backpack, and we'll provide something similar for you to put in the car. If you have any updates to transportation, a lot of you guys, your kiddos were here last year. If your address has changed and you have a different bus, or now your child is taking the bus, or they were taking the bus and they no longer are, please inform your teacher so we can have that correctly documented. Any updates to how your child is getting home from last year, please tell your teacher, and then we're gonna make sure we know that. Because we do go off the same bus information as last year, but we need to know if anything has changed. Joni, and I'm gonna start checking the chat box for questions.
All right, and I'm finishing up on, there were a couple of questions. One was, can my student wear a shield? Your student can wear a shield in addition to a cloth mask. Cloth masks are required. That's the go-to have to. You can also provide your child with a shield, and we have a few kids who are wearing those as well. But they do have to wear a cloth mask unless your child has a documented and healthcare provider approved ADA accommodation to wear something else. So that would have to be, and that would be a conversation between our nurse and the family to get that kind of documentation. So otherwise, it's a cloth mask. As for recess, we are encouraging the kids to leave their masks on at recess unless they need a mask break and they are 6 feet or more apart from other students outside on the playground. So if they're 6 feet apart outside, it's deemed very low risk. And we're going to set up a few stations where kids can stand inside of like a spaced hula hoop for a mask break if they needed that. But right now, the majority of our kids are wearing masks and leaving them on for the most part at recess. And we are watching very carefully that they stay 6 feet apart. Okay, bus riding. If your child rides the bus either to or from school or uses the bus to get from a daycare facility to us, the students are required to wear a mask on the bus. They must have a mask on the bus. To reduce close contact, we are going to keep kids as far apart as possible on the bus. The buses will load from the back to the front, and they'll begin with one student in each seat unless there are families together. If there are siblings that are riding together, they might be initially put in a seat together since they are residing in the same home together. We'll keep students as far apart as possible. Again, until the bus reaches its limit. We will follow a cleaning protocol. The bus drivers stop after each load of children. So like when you drop our kids off at our school at Blix, we have a cleaning supply cart out there, and they wipe down all surfaces in the bus with approved disinfectant, and they clean the bus between every load of students, unless the kids are the first one on the bus from the night before. And that it was cleaned at the end of the day. Our bus schedules are going to be ready hopefully this week, and that information will be shared with you as soon as it's available. And also, if you have or know of changes from last year, so possibly you moved to a new area, please let the office or actually please let your teacher know if you know that you've had a bus schedule change or a bus number change, or your student has changed and isn't riding the bus, or used to walk and now is going to be riding a bus. If you know that information, please let your child's teacher know that as soon as possible so they can alert our office staff, and we can make arrangements with transportation sooner than later.
Okay, I think this is back to me.
I think so.
Perfect. So here's an example of what the schedule is going to look like for you guys, for your students. Remember, we're in a cohort model. We are finalizing cohort, and if your students in cohort A, they will be here Monday and Tuesday. If they are in cohort B, they will be with us Thursday and Friday. So you just want to be able to look at the schedule, and then once you know your student's cohort, you'll be able to know what your schedule looks like. Pretty much the day is like a normal school day for our kiddos when they're here. Wednesday, expect your kiddos to have a morning meeting and expect them to have some kind of wrap-up meeting at the end of the day, like they already do on Wednesdays. In the middle time, there'll be some maybe office hours for our teachers. Maybe some of our teachers will do small groups. When your student is not here in the building, but they're at home for independent learning, when they're not with us, they're still in remote, it's an independent day. Their teacher is teaching the other cohort, the other group of students, so they won't be providing direct instruction. They will have prepared lessons for your student to do independently. Some of our students may be pulled out into small groups also as an option if they receive extra services. One thing to notice is that PE and music will be done on the days that the children are at home. It's best this way because then they can move and sing and dance and enjoy like the health of PE without having to be in class with the mask on. So you will still have your students do the PE and music at the same time, but it'll be Thursday and Friday. Your teacher will have that scheduled to share out with you so you know which PE class to go to when and which music class. We will also still provide you the link to the independent learning that our PE and music teachers provide you. And you're welcome to do that when you like on a Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. To point out, the Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, because it is much more independent, these are just suggested agendas of what your day could look like. We just honor families and everything that goes on in your day to know that this might not be the best schedule for you. Feel free to have your schedule as you'd like it to be. That makes it best fit for you. This is just a recommended time to do things. The one thing to notice is that PE and music will only be live at this time for your kiddos for first grade, and all school lunch will be at the same time. So if your child receives the lunch at one of the bus stations, same time, that has not changed. This is first grade, and this is second. You're going to notice it looks very similar. The only difference from first and second is that second PE is just at a later time, same time as it is currently. Okay. And remember, I'm sending this, going to put this whole PowerPoint into the Facebook and Schoology, and we got time for you guys to ask us questions via email in the chat box. Ask your teachers questions. So the good thing is we do have time to process this if you do have follow-up questions. Joni.
All right, breakfast and lunch. We are super lucky at Blix and across the district this year that all students are able to eat both breakfast and lunch for free. And so that will continue to be provided. Students will get breakfast when they walk through the door if they choose to eat it. Anybody can have it. We don't need any kind of identification or documentation. It's provided to all students. And then they will also be provided a school lunch if they would like it as well. We are having we're having breakfast and lunch delivered to classrooms at this point for first grade. It's going to be delivered to the hallway right out of the side of the classrooms. First graders will walk out, well, they'll actually pick up their breakfast as they walk into school before they go to their classroom, and then they'll walk out into the hallway to pick up their lunches, or their teacher will walk out and gather the lunches and bring them back into the classroom. They will be eating in the classroom at this time. Students can bring their own meals. The more that they can open and get their food together themselves, the better. We are keeping 6 feet of distance. Students will be washing hands often during the day. Every time they enter or come back to the classroom, they'll wash their hands or use hand sanitizer. They will wash their desk before and after meals, or the teacher will wash it. And they'll wash their hands before and after a meal, and before and after they come in from the playground, or if they were to go anywhere else in the school. Soap and water is our number one go-to. Hand sanitizer is a close second. So either one of those could be used. Our drinking fountains can be used 6 feet apart. A personal water bottle for your child would be great, labeled with their name. We're going to do some teaching of keep your mouth off the drinking fountain if you're not using a water bottle, but a water bottle is better. High touch areas such as door handles, the water fountain, sinks will be cleaned on throughout the day and during the day. So we're spending lots of time doing lots of cleaning. Our go-to for students in like washing off their desk is our Gojo soap. That's their hand soap on a wet paper towel, and that has been deemed the most effective for students to use. Our teachers will be spraying down all hard surfaces as the teachers enter the room in the morning, and that's far before the student gets there. And then at the end of the day, the teachers will also spray down again all hard surfaces, and then custodians will be doing deep cleaning, especially of those high touch surfaces in the classroom, as well as vacuuming the floors every single night. Our head custodian and additional custodians will be going through the school, cleaning high touch areas throughout the day. So those are our helping to make sure that we have a safe environment for kids to be learning and interacting in at school. Let's see. Recess. Okay. During recess, we've divided our playground up into zones. And so during recess each day, a cohort, so a class of students. If you are in Miss Curtis's class and you are in cohort A on Tuesday or Monday and Tuesday, on Monday you will come and you will have a zone. And so that might be the play shed, or it might be the volleyball end of our playground along with half of the swings. Students will have to stay in that zone and play only in that zone with their classmates. Those will be rotated throughout the week, so kids will get a chance to play on all of the places and spaces sometime during the week. We've also purchased brand new play materials like balls and hula hoops and jump ropes and sidewalk chalk. So there will be that will also be things that kids can play with. We have staff that are out supervising those recesses and ensuring that students stay in those separated areas. And we do have the areas separated with some caution tape that will help keep kids in those separated areas. That will cut down on transmission between groups of students. We are, again, if the kids are 6 feet apart and staying 6 feet apart, they can take their mask down when they're outside. If they're not 6 feet apart, they do have to keep it up. The playground is cleaned regularly, and that is the guidance from the state, is that each morning our custodian does a walkthrough around our school and does regular cleaning on the playground, and then as needed throughout the day, they'll come out and clean anything that has something that happens during the day, if there were to be something that needed to be cleaned during the day. There might be brief moments during the play at recess when students are less than 6 feet apart, but our guidance is that in passing briefly, that's a very low risk, and we are encouraging students to stay 6 feet apart, and our staff that is supervising is very diligent about chatting with kids about that. Let's see. We're going to keep the masks with the kids on those lanyards. That's why that was one of the big reasons we bought the lanyards. It's so that we're not having to leave masks and getting back and they're touching surfaces there on your kid all the time. And then again, after they come in, they're washing their hands after they come in from the playground.
Joni, there was a question in the chat box. Are you hiring help with?
You cut out, Alyssa. Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, one of the questions in the chat box was, are they hiring help? Are you hiring help with all the cleaning? Is that something additional that the district is providing? Our custodial staff that we have on staff, we have 2 full-time custodians and a half-time custodian, and that's been deemed we have definitely enough cleaning staff or staff to keep the school clean at this point. There's been a lot of pre-work done, and the fact that we only have part of our kids here and we're not utilizing some spaces, like the gym is not being utilized. We've got limited bathrooms that are being utilized. There's limited space in the school, and that gives the custodian a much more time during the day that they can be doing that high touch cleaning during the day, because we're not having to do as much work, say, as in the cafeteria. Typically, our cafeteria is a place that takes up a lot of a custodian's time, especially when we've got between 500 and 600 kids running through there. We're not using that space right now, and so that's cut down on a lot of that cleaning piece. Plus, we have many fewer students here, and that cuts down too. Okay. One thing to note about PE and music, like I talked about, it's only during our at-home independent learning days. And what we've done is, because students will be in new PE and music classes during their same time, because we're in cohorts, it's caused us to double the amount of classes we have. So to be able to continue with music and PE, we simply combined 2 cohorts together. So for instance, you might see that Miss Rendon and Miss Scott, 2 first grade teachers, their cohort Bs will be in PE together and music together. So to be able to combine multiple classes into one PE and music, we created a whole new teams. There's nothing more extra that you as families have to do. You're going to go to the same spot you always do for PE and music. But instead of seeing a join live option, you're going to get a link, and you're going to click on that link. It's going to take you to the live class. You will notice that your student has been invited into a new Teams. The logo is right there. It says music and PE. You're also welcome to go straight to that Teams to access PE or music during your designated time and join the class that way. So you can stick with the same option, go to the same place you always have, or you're welcome to go to the new Teams to access that. Joni.
Okay. Physical distancing. So in our classrooms, we have set up our classrooms for a maximum of 15 students. For our first grades, we have about 12 to 13, depending on which cohort you're in. And those desks have been set up so that they are all at least 6 feet apart in all classrooms. The seating assignments are marked in the classrooms, and there's markings on the floor to keep children 6 feet apart. If there's space that the teacher wants to do for like a morning meeting circle, they've got dots set up so that those are 6 feet apart. Also, some teachers are not choosing to utilize that, and they're just having the students stay at their desk. But every place that a student goes in the room, it's definitely 6 feet apart. We've been doing a lot of teaching and reminding with our kinders of how do you wait and walk and stay 6 feet apart from your friends. And they're doing a great job with it. So I know first grade will be able to do a great job with that as well. All of our hallways have been marked and taped on the floor everywhere in our whole school with distances of 6 feet apart as we travel through the building, both inside and outside. There are markings on all the sidewalks with little yellow rectangles. We've got one little spot down by the two kindergarten classrooms that they forgot, but we're using some dots right now, and that's working out until it stops raining and we can get that painted. Our restrooms have been modified a little bit with cutting out some of the available stalls or urinals so that students have to stay 6 feet apart, and also modified how many students can be in the restroom at once. And our teachers are doing a great job of ensuring that only one student at a time leaves to go utilize the restroom. And as long as, and they're great about keeping track of that, and that meets the requirement as long as the kids stay on those dots in the restrooms. And we'll practice teaching the rules about that too. Let's see, in very small restrooms, and for first grade, we don't have restrooms in the classrooms. We have a few kindergarten classrooms that have restrooms in them, but our first graders will be utilizing group bathrooms, and so that will be part of their first few days of learning, will be how do you go down and use the restroom and ensure that you're staying away from friends and practicing going in, waiting until the first person left if there's somebody in there already, and then going to the bathroom, washing your hands, and coming back to the classroom. So big thing that you guys can practice at home too is where our hygiene practices are. 20 seconds of hand washing with soap and warm water. And if you can't get to the soap and the warm water, then it's going to be hand sanitizer, which is a close backup second. Materials and books that are going to be shared, which there's going to be very few, will be cleaned in between each student. So if, for instance, your child is in a Monday, Tuesday cohort, the teacher has chosen 6 or 8 books to have in their book basket on their desk that they're going to use, then on Tuesday night, before the teacher goes home, if she's going to have a Thursday, Friday cohort of students utilize those, they would spray those down with disinfectant, or they would be left open to air out for at least 24 hours, and then they could be utilized again for a new group of students. But during the day, students will not be sharing materials. It will be designated just for those students, or they have to be put away for at least 25 hours, or after they've been sanitized with disinfectant and left to dry. And that would be at the end of the day and overnight. If any kind of an item has been not used for 7 days, it doesn't need to be infected. And so there will be some things that are just taken away, put away for 7 days, and then can be used again without having to do that deep disinfecting. Again, we are cleaning and disinfecting frequently, touch surfaces within the school on a regular basis. Also on the school buses, again, the school bus gets cleaned by the bus driver in between each load of children, and we're spending lots of time cleaning and washing.
Okay, we're pretty much wrapping up, but that was a lot of information, and I got 2 questions left that I'm going to cover now that I saw in the chat box. Here's the main things to know, what I want to highlight for you. So 5 things to know about day 1 for your kiddos. First off, know your students' cohort. We will be releasing that soon. Joni, can you unmute really quick? Because I wanted you to let families know about when they should be anticipating their cohorts. Oh, unmute, Joni.
Oh, there we go. Okay, cohorts. We have the cohorts created already, and those should be out. We've given them to your teachers, and most likely I will be sending that out in a message specific to just first graders this Sunday. So be listening for a message this Sunday, and it will go just to cohort A, and it'll say something like this. Hi, it's Ms. Hall. I'm calling to let you know that your child is in cohort A in Ms. Curtis's class, and they will attend school on Mondays and Tuesdays. And then there'll be a different one for cohort B of Ms. Curtis. And so you should get that. You can also ask your teacher, because we do have them made, and it's not a secret right now. It's just we wanted to make sure that we had them accurate, and then sending them out on Sunday this week so that people knew where they were going, what they were doing.
Joni, before I go over the other four, one more question was asked in the chat box about what if I don't want my child to come back? What if I
love it.
independently?
Okay, so if you are concerned and you are not wanting your child to come back remotely at this time, you have a few options. The first option is that you could apply for your child to attend Tacoma Online Learning, which is completely remote. There's an application online, and we can help you access that. There are still some spaces there. We do have, and they are working as fast as they can in Tacoma Online to process applications and get kids into seats if that's where their families feel would be best meet their needs at this point. If you're not interested, so that is our alternative to coming back in a hybrid model to in-person learning. If you're not interested in moving your child into Tacoma Online, the days that your child is assigned to be in in-person learning, if they are not in person, they will be marked absent. I will tell you that at this point, the district and the state are not pursuing any kind of legal ramifications for students not attending in person due to family needs. But our teachers are going to be teaching in person on those 4 days. And so our teachers can't be required to offer additional work or support or online work for a student who's choosing not to attend in those 2 in-person days. The teacher will be planning, and on Thursday and on the days that the child is not in session, on those remote days, the teacher will have planned independent work, and that will be available. And if you chose to keep your child home, they absolutely would be able to complete that and participate in that independent learning, as well as Wednesdays, which will most likely look very similar to what Wednesdays look like now. Teachers are being given some pretty much leeway to do morning meeting, afternoon meeting, and then each teacher has a little bit different schedule on Wednesdays, whether they do small groups or whether they do office hours. That will look very similar to how it looks now. It's just the 2 in-person days, our teachers will be teaching another group of kids in person those days, and so they won't be available to offer additional resources. Some things that if you do choose to keep your child home that you could access are things like our Tacoma TV online. There are lessons for K through 3rd graders that are weekly lessons in math, English language arts, and social emotional learning that are posted in YouTube. And their YouTube channel. And so those are great resources. All of the back ones that have been made are still available. And also, if you go to the district's remote learning page on our website, there's just tons and tons of resources on there that you could utilize to provide your student, if you're able to, work with them, or you have somebody at home who could supervise them in accessing a whole bunch of material there that could then be utilized at home for some independent learning on those in-person days. And if you have more questions on that and you want to talk about it a little bit further, you can give me a call. My extension is 571-7522, and we could discuss that a little bit more.
We're going to have our counselors should be posting into the chat box a link to, if you're interested in online learning, you can access that link. We also provided it for you in the bulletin, the family bowl. Oh, she pasted it for you. So if you're interested in applying online, if there's spots available or to be in the waiting list, the link's in the chat box for you. We also sent it out into our Sunday night email and in the family bulletin. So wrap up, 5 things to know out of all the information you got thrown at you today. know your student's cohort. Once you get that information on Sunday, make sure you just know it so you know which days your kids come. If you've had any changes to student transportation, please let your teacher know. Register for the family app. Go to your email and check for the invitation you should have gotten because I registered you already. Mask wearing, practice it, practice it, practice it. And school is 9:45 to 3:20. We'll start lining kids up around 3:10 to take outside. And lastly, reach out to us. We are here to support you. Si alguien sabe español y quiere hablar español también, pueden comunicar conmigo. So we got Joni Holler, principal. Her contact information is right there. Me, the assistant principal, and our librarian / family tech support, Susan Byers, is also available. I'm going to go ahead and say that we've had a Joni, do you want, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Any final thoughts or anything, Joni? I know we're about 5 minutes over on time, but we appreciate your guys' time.
Yeah, I'm just going to say thank you very much. I saw one in there that asked if I've got a first and a second grader. Are they going to be in the same cohort? Yes. We have, we're matching up cohorts of kids and putting families